founder and CEO of Man of War, Rafa Conde.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Man of War podcast. Of course, my name is Rafa Conde. I'm a man on a mission here, forging you to become the best version of yourself. Now listen, today's podcast, I really want to hyper focus on what's going to happen to you in 2024. Now you may be thinking that 2024 is a year where you're going to take it to the next level, but what we see constantly is the reality strikes. And what I mean by when reality strikes is that you start January strong and the next thing you know, you're into Feb, March, April, and you've lost that energy. You've lost that drive. So listen, guys, the reality here is this. A warrior-minded man must start off every year the same way that he starts off in battle. Let me explain this. When a man sharpens his blade, he is battle ready every day. So there is no such thing as starting from the ground up. He is honing his skill. He is honing his mind, his body, and he is prepared for battle. And we must get away from thinking that because it's a new year, that somehow miraculously we're going to change. So in essence, this bullshit of yearly goals and today, starts the new year, 2024. We need to get away from that. You must be battle ready every day, every week, every month, every year. You must sharpen yourself. Now let's start off with goal setting. Everyone likes to talk about goal setting, but the reality is that goal setting is way overrated. In my opinion, I think that when you sit there and you really try to dial in your goals, you spend so much time out figuring what your goal is going to be that you forget to act. And then you take one step instead of taking 2 steps or 3 steps. And then you look back and you say, well, maybe my goal should be this. And you start second guessing that goal. So I tell you this, fuck goals, go out there and do something immediately. Stop with the goal setting and the objective driving and the micro goals and the macro goals and all that bullshit that's out there and get shit done. So I like to write something down today, and at the end of the day, I know that I fucking executed on it, eliminated. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have goals because I'm a big believer in goals, but I'm talking to those who just can't dial into execution in the now. You know who you are. So what I'm saying is if you want to get to a level where you can really make those goals happen, you need to start executing now. Write things down, go out there and get them done. It's as simple as grabbing an app or a journal and saying, today, this is what I'm going to do. Fuck goal setting. Just go out there and do it. Don't start getting cute and pretty. Get things done. I know most people want to hear, well, we have all these different types of goals and objectives. And then once we do that, we have a mission plan and we're hunting and we're building. Sure, that's all great. But I'm talking to you guys, the ones who are sitting on the sidelines, that you spend so much time goal setting that by the time it comes, you guys aren't doing shit. You're into the next year. I had all these high expectations and all these goals. Well, the reality here is this. You must execute in the now, for the now. Once you start doing that and you start making habits, good habits, bulletproof habits, now you can start focusing on building a structure, goal setting, objective planning, building a mission, right? That's the most important thing that you need to do, though, is to start executing today. Now, as we move and people ask me, well, how can I be a better man in 2024 than I was in 2023? Well, I say, I think you're kind of thinking about this the wrong way. It's not about being a better man in 2024. It's about being the best version of yourself every moment. Not thinking that, well, 2024 magically or miraculously, it's going to make me a better, stronger man than I was in 2023. Instead, change that mindset and start building yourself now to be better tomorrow than you were today, and that you are today better than you were yesterday. Step by step, we live in this world where people think that magically you're just going to get better. No, using the Kaizen principle, which is little victories at a time, little changes, progressions that happen. That's critical. That is a critical part of growth. And so many men out there have no idea, truly, of what it takes to get better, to forge themselves, to progress in growth. It's non-existent in their lives. Instead of saying, well, you know what, at this point in time in my life, my goal is to execute and get better, and to actually take the action that is required for things to change in my life. Stop asking about being a better man in 2024. Instead, change it to being a better man today than I was yesterday, and tomorrow than I am today. These small bridges, these small victories, in the end, when you look back at 2024, you're like, damn, I made hell of changes, a hell of a lot of them. Dynamically, you can feel it and you can see it. With that said, one of the most important elements I believe that a man needs to master in his life is relationships, relationship building. Now, let me be very clear here. I'm not just talking about your wife or your girlfriend or your children or your colleagues. I'm talking about building a relationship with yourself also, knowing yourself. The more you get to know yourself, the better you're going to be in a position of power, because you know your weaknesses truly, and then you start learning what your strengths are, right? And then you're able to make the critical changes right now, because you get to know yourself, because you're building this relationship with yourself. Now, of course, building relationship with other people, that is critical also. Those are components that if I were to sit here for 5 hours, I wouldn't even touch the beginning of how important building a relationship is. Building a relationship with your wife, critical. Every man who is married out there or has a loved one, fiance or whatever it is, when you have a powerful woman, a woman that could bring forth the best in you, you need to cultivate that relationship. And you do it by being a gentleman, by setting up a framework in your life. And that woman lives within that framework. And a lot of guys are like, what do you mean a framework? Yes, there are expectations that are set between man and woman. There are boundaries that a woman should never cross, right? And a man sets these expectations as he leads his home front. Once the woman falls in that framework, she can be completely free. And she is highly focused on being the backbone for that man through hell and high water. And when you have a woman like that, life changes. When you have a woman like that, you yourself are going to grow at a level that probably you have never, ever achieved before. So cultivate that relationship with your wife. Now, when you are a leader in your home, you have kids, right? Most of you that are married have kids. How are you as a father? Are you capable of leading your 5-year-old, your 10-year-old, your 15-year-old? Man, those are different across the board. They pose different challenges. How you lead a 5-year-old, how you lead a 10-year-old, how you lead a 15-year-old, completely different. You will be tested in every way, shape, and form, especially as your kids grow older. Are you capable to be a strong leader in situations that are difficult? Are you capable of having your kids live within your framework? The problem here is this: most men out there can't lead themselves, can't lead their families, can't lead their employees, and then they just walk around aimlessly. They're seeking leadership in their lives. But I will say this, for a man to grow, to be the best man in 2024 and beyond, however you want to phrase this, he must start by leading himself first, and then leading his family, and then he could step up and start leading his company, leading from the front, leading with power, with dignity, with respect, with honor. You tell me how many men out there that you know really can lead from the front like that. I would probably say, and I would challenge you on this, less than 2%. You may know a couple of dudes that can really do this. This is why it is so important that moving forward, you surround yourself with the best men out there. So you could look and say, man, these men are actually leading their homes or leading their families. These men are actually going out there and doing beautiful things with their lives, their family. They have a great connection with them. Their companies are thriving. He works his ass off. He executes. He's a headhunter. Yes, go out there and be a headhunter, a wolf hunter. Be a savage when it comes to business. But at the same time, you got to wear the compassion hat. You got to be a good man, right? You got to go out there and love and care for others and respect others and serve for a higher purpose. All of that. But when it's time to come and step up and do things that are difficult and overcome challenges and protect your family and do things that, unfortunately, a lot of men will never do, you have to be ready. You have to be battle ready. There's a lot on the plate here. But to be the best version of who you are, you have to believe in yourself. You have to be ready and committed to make the change. And let me say this, one of the most beautiful things about the Man of War Crucible in this program that we have now for almost 6 years, and we have had thousands of men come through. And now you look at this and you're like, wow, it's unbelievable to see these men have actually started to grow, and now they're following a code and they're living by a code, and they're stronger fathers, husbands, leaders, visionaries, because they surround themselves with other great men. And I could give 3 shits about whether you come to my program. I would love for you to, if you're a good, honorable man, but it's not even about that. It's about you figuring it out in your life, how to get around the best people possible. And sometimes it's going to take some money out of your pocket to surround yourself and rub shoulders with men like that. Why? Because guess what? Those guys at the top have put in the time, the money to be around other great men. That's right. I have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in mentoring and coaching and seminars and events through my career, through my rite of passage. What makes you think that you're going to go out there and, watch free fucking YouTube videos and get the same? Nobody. You don't get to rub shoulders with me or other high-level men for free. It doesn't work that way. First, you need to step up. You need to bring value to the table. You need to put your actions where your mouth is. Do what's right. Grow. Help others. So look, the bottom line, when everything is said and done, building yourself to be the strongest man in 2024. A warrior-minded man. That's the way that I like to look at it. If you've read my book, Redefining the 21st Century Man, you know how I view life. It's a battlefield, right? We are gladiators in this arena of life. We must go out there and be the best version of ourselves. We owe it to us. We owe it to our families. We owe it to our communities, to our employees. Do you really think that way? If you do, what are you waiting for? All right, guys, listen. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for the support that you've given me. Thank you for making Redefining the 21st Century Man a continued bestseller. Of course, thank you for making Man of War Podcast a top podcast. I really appreciate that. I think we're approaching now 21 million downloads. So I am beyond honored, humbled, and thrilled. With that said, I am on Instagram, Man of War with 2 R's. We're all over the place. Man of War Crucible. You can MEN of War Crucible on Instagram. You could follow our program there, our rite of passage. Also, the Odyssey Program, which is now a franchise program all over, not just the United States, but around the world. That is a father and son program. I highly recommend that if you have a son between 12 and 17 years old, that you bring them to this program. It is life-changing and transformative. All right, guys, until next time, your life may be challenging and full of dangers, but never, ever retreat. Your last battle may be your greatest victory.
Founder and CEO of Man of War, Rafa Conde.